Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to Bloodsport Gladiators. I am playing my Cato Claudius character. Let's recap his career. So I debuted the game with this first character, Cato Claudius. We are the Claudian school of the Bellator in Pompeii in 65 AD. We opened hosting a festival, which is a 3-day event. And when all was said and done, my entire roster of gladiators was killed. However, I earned 9 coins from that festival. I decided to buy off the administrator, the 3 criminals that remained alive who had killed my man alone, my chief warrior. And I also purchased the last creature, the lion, who had killed my final gladiator Titus in the last man event. So with 3 criminals and a lion, we decided to accept an invitation so I purchased 3 criminals, lions, and I also trained up and purchased Gaius, and we then accepted. I set up my new roster. I had no coins left. I then accepted an invitation to a mob event in Pizzoli, Italy. Caesar Paulinus invited us to a mob event. Mob events are 12 turns. You have to feature at least 4 combatants, which we did. All of them died. However, I did earn 2 coins in the event for a couple of kills. I then limped home with my lion and my 2 coins. And in late June, we invite Cornelius Justicus to a man alone event versus my lion, Pestus Titus. So I named my lion after basically Titus's bane. So he had killed Titus. So I named him Pestus Titus, which is the end of Titus, or the destruction of Titus, the bane of Titus. So on June 26th of the same year, we are going to go for broke. Remember, if I can't field at least a creature and host an event, or I cannot field a complete team, if I have no coins, game over for Cato Claudius. So I'm hoping with this event that I can win it, and also I've wagered my final 2 coins. So instead of purchasing any more gladiators, I have decided to wager my last 2 coins. So in this man alone event, if my lion Pestus Titus can defeat Epio Gigas, which means giant, so Epio is his name, giant, in this man alone event, I would earn 1 for the kill, 3 for the last man standing, and I would earn his 2 coins. So this could be an epic event for me. I'm going for broke. So I've put my entire career legacy on the line with a lion, Pestus Titus. So he could become the history, the lore that brings my school from its knees. So we could potentially earn the kill, 3 for being the last man. That's 4 plus 2 coins, 6 plus our 2 we own, 8. We could come out of this potentially. We will, if we win, we will earn 8 coins, which would give me a chance to resurrect my school. If we lose, it's game over. So here we go, folks. Turn 1. Again, how I did the festival and how I'm doing this one are not in the rules. You are free to host or create any events and any characters and any things you want. If you are traveling, the rules state that you're invited, and you would travel to one of the random areas you've been invited to, and they're going to pick the event, right? So you have no control over that when you're on the road. So if you have your own location, which I've done here with Pompeii, I can kind of do however I want. So I set up a festival here. Again, I'm in control of whether I purchase. So again, you're in control of whether you remember whatever a creature's durability is what they cost you. So yes, you can purchase from the no action chart. You can purchase tigers, dogs, elephants, etc. Just remember that these particular creatures, at least the actual animals, you have no control over. So if you put them in a mob event with your own men, it'll be incredibly exciting, but your own men could be killed by your own creatures. So just, you got to think about the common sense of that. You don't have control of your creatures, right? These are not tamed animals. But what I do warn against, when you create your own creatures, be very aware of the limitations I put on the ranges, on the defense numbers, and on the durability numbers. So if you're going to create creatures and things, you want to be very careful not to go outside of these numbers too much, right? There's a reason for that. And again, I retain the intellectual property on the formulas as to why the ranges are the way they are. But just be aware, you could certainly create a different version of a creature and just tweak his durability and just watch the ranges and the defenses, right? Okay. So that's just so you guys know. There is a method to the madness with the engage ranges, the durability maxes, and of course, there it is. Okay, so turn one. Here we go, folks. This is it. Our entire legacy of Cato Claudius is on the line this morning. 10 is the roll, and that's not going to do my lion any good at all. So my lion is going to suffer damage, right? His defense is 4, so he will soak this damage. He will take this damage. Epio, damages. Dang it. I do that every time. Damages Pestis. Dang, turn 2. So, with his axe in hand, Epio the giant steps in and cuts my line. 3, though. We're going to score on this one. Come on, Pestis. Oh, no, he has a helm of 3. So the lion rears up, swatting with its giant claws. And Epio Gigas's helmet protects him. Let's see here, is Epio. Dang it, Epio. Epio's helm absorbs, damn it, damage. Unbelievable. So the lion reared up and went for his head, and Epio's lucky that it wasn't the throat. Epio's helm absorbs damage. Turn 3 is 2. Hallelujah. Fortunately, my lion will get him this time, but he swats with the left paw. So he swats with the right paw on the top of his head, the left paw rearing on its back legs. This lion comes with its right on the top of the head and its left, and gets him in the chest or throat. Damages Epio. Oh man, we're both hurting now. So Epio's down to 3, and of course Pestis is already hurt, down to 2. Turn 4. Remember, these man alone events are only 8 turns, so it can conceivably end with nobody dying. 7. That's my lion. Hot damn. Oh, and Epio has an 8, so it will not be damage against my lion. So my lion Pestis. So he pissed off the lion when he injured him on that first round. Damages Epio. I can't believe it, man. My entire career is on the line. Turn 5. I need this lion to finish him here. Here we go. And it's going to be 4. That is defense for my lion, and it is a hit against him. These lions are incredibly dangerous. So Pestis damages Epio again. So the giant is reeling, backpedaling as this lion. He angered the lion with a vicious axe hit early. This is it. This could be the game right here. Come on, Pestis, make me a rich man. 7, 6, 1, 7. Yes, we're gonna win it. And Pestis kills Epio. Glorious mauling of the Gigas. We have made 8 coins. grand celebration in the Pompeii arena today as Epio gets the first axe hit on my lion, and my lion again retaliates. But once he draws blood, the lion tears into him, and Epio goes down in 3 very quick, 4 very quick assaults. So the lion just ravaged him at this point. I think I spelled mauling wrong, but oh well. All right, so that means we now have our lion, and we have 8 coins to rebuild my school. That is a great gamble. So why? You're going to ask why? Well, first we're going to get a coin for the kill, coin per kill. We get 3 coins for last man, and we're going to get 2 coins for the wager. And that's going to be 6, right? For a total of 6 coins. Plus I have my own 2. And I previously had the 2 I gambled, right? And therefore we have 8 coins. So now I can start to rebuild my school. 8 coins. We have a lion who is, ironically, I think I'll leave my lion as my man alone. So people will come or invite us because they want to see Pestis Titus take on people's man alone. So I think I will leave in my school my man alone. So my roster, remember you have to have your roster, will be Pestis Titus, right? The lion, right? And he is a 3. 2 through 7 is huge. 4, and his defense came into play at one point. And then I'm going to have a mob that's got to be 4 creatures. It can be a lion and 3 men. I have 8 coins, so I'm thinking my best bet is 4 2-level characters. That would give me 4 with some cushion. Nobody easy to take down. The problem with that is, again, if they all have a similar Pestis Titus is my man alone, my mob. So I could have a 4 and 4 1s, a 4 and 4 1s, a 3, a 2, that'd be 5, 6, 7, 8. I could have, see, a 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. I could have 5 men, a 3, a 2, and 3 1s. The problem with the 1s is once they're hit, they're finished. At least twos buy you cushion, right? So yeah, let's go mob. I'm gonna have let's see here, Quintus. Quintus. And again, he'll be a 2 durability. I'll roll up his other stuff. Quintus. Cato. Drusus. I need more names, man. Drusus. And Hrothgar of the North. He will be a Hrothgar will be a former prisoner of war, right? Quintus, Cato, Drusus, and Hrothgar will be a former prisoner of war. Okay, so let's roll these guys up. So again, when we create, you can roll randomly, even for their durability when you create them. So you can roll randomly the durability, but then I got to pay that. So instead, I'm just going to go to the market and purchase guys that look, at the level I want. So that's my 8 coins are spent. And then I roll up what they are. So Quintus, 4, he will have a hammer. So 2 through 5. And his defense, 3, is a helm. So I purchase, again, some slaves to train. 3, we're going to have ball and chain, so 9 through 12. Ball and chain. His defense is 6, gauntlet. So he has a one. So one hand would be in a gauntlet where he could catch blades, where he could use it to block blades, etc. So he has a gauntlet. Drusus is going to be wielding 5, a spear, 6, 7. Spear. And 2, net, 5. That's the best defense you're going to get. Right? And then last but not least, the man from the north, trident, son of a gun, 7, 8. Trident. And 3, he will have a helm. That makes sense. A man from the north wearing a helm. All right, so we got Quintus, durability 2. He wields a hammer and a helm. Cato, durability 2, a ball and chain and a gauntlet. So he's swinging basically a mace-type weapon. And he has a thick leather studded gauntlet that he can use to block or catch or grab weapons. Drusus wields again, durability 2, uses a spear and net. Drusus could be very dangerous. And then Hrothgar, POW, 7 and 8 trident. This would be a new weapon to him. We'd be training him up, and he wears a helm. And so that means our what are called last man roster would be Quintus, Cato. Remember, if you're invited or you have any of these events, these are the people, Drusus and Hrothgar. I probably misspelled that, but Hrothgar. So if I accept an invitation, I don't know what I'm going to be invited to do. This is who I have to field if we're invited. If I host events, I can pick who I want, on the out there, right? And now we have, at this point, 0 coins. So, and I would say, go to the market, purchase these guys up, train them up, get them ready for competition. I would say it would be August. They'd have a month to prepare. August 65 AD. So we continue, folks. So again, there are no rules that tell you can do this. You're free to. I mean, the whole joy of this simple rule set is your limitations, and if you understand the game and you understand the limitations of the game, you are certainly free to make these kind of decisions to risk your character. And here's the great thing: if you lose, you just make a new character, right? You start a new school somewhere else, right? You start a band of traveling, gladiators. You can create as many. So again, I just created Cornelius Justicus and created Epio Gigas as his man alone. So I didn't have to create an entire city. So Cornelius Justicus comes to town. He owns the giant, and I invited him to take on my lion and entertain the people at some weekend, whatever it is, in June 26th, right? So we suffered bad here in June, right? This would have been early June, and traveling home, licking our wounds, deciding what I want to do. By the 26th, I had wagered 2 coins to entice Cornelius Justicus to put his man up against my lion, right? Because this might be a thing where I got to put money on the line just to entice Justicus to do this, right? So again, I don't talk about wagering in the book. I don't talk about how do you do this. Again, the rules, so you can easily create other managers and easily create their mob. You can handpick their mob or whatever. But what I would do, be very aware that the durability range is 1 to 5 max. The engagement ranges are on this chart. You don't want to go outside of these engagement ranges, right, for human beings, and you don't want to go outside these defensive numbers, right? This is what's going to create the dynamism that occurs when you drop that 1 die per turn. When you look at the creatures, you're going to notice that their engagement ranges are vary. 3 to 8, 2 to 7. Of course, you've got 4 to 6 for Elephant and Rider. Right, again, you could certainly stay within these engagement ranges for creatures or for other animals or other, like, for instance, let's say the soldier on a horse, cavalry, like this would be maybe a horse soldier. You'd want to give them a durability that makes sense for a horse and a soldier, maybe a 4. And then their engagement rate, well, what do you think a horse and a soldier's, how dangerous and how engaging is a soldier and a horse? Are they going to be deliberate? Are they going to be sloppy? Are they going to be less inclined to get engaged? Or are they going to be dangerous? And then you're going to want to weigh that engagement range. And then how well can you imagine a horse soldier? What would be their defense as far as how well would they defend themselves? Right? Because you're a man on a horse. So you're going to have an advantage that you're above your opponents. You're going to have speed. You're going to be able to use the horse as a weapon itself. However, the horse itself is open to being wounded. So, you want to pick a defense number that suits, that creature or that, thing. So just, again, outside of that, I don't attempt to explain to you how you do everything. The game rules are here for you to then go as far as you want, right? I've talked about this in developing this. This was going to be my pro wrestling game, and I was having a heck of a time deciding how I would determine, when a wrestling match would end and when somebody would be pinned. So you can see how this would work. That eventually, in so many falls, eventually a guy would be pinned, or the match would end. Right, time limit would come up. It didn't feel quite right, but it was great for tag team matches. Because you could visualize the tag team happening, right? Because if you had, a tag team and a guy's number came up, like Quintus and Kato together in the ring, if 10 came up, we know Kato was in the ring and dropped an elbow shot upon whoever, right, in the tag team matchup, whoever I choose to damage, and eventually that damage would wear down, and that would just be the end of the match. And they would win, or the time would expire. So you can see how this had been a pro wrestling game. So you can easily do this, right? And what would the ranges be? Well, instead of weaponry, right, the ranges would be special abilities, right? So this guy likes to, let's say a 2 to 6 is versatile. He'd be an athlete or a flyer, maybe a high rope guy or something, right? Somebody like a hammer. This guy might be a body slammer. He likes to get in close and hit with elbows and hands and kicks and pick you up and slam you. So you could also label, instead of a weapon here, the kind of wrestler they are. And defense, that would be just solely a way to, instead of defense, it would be a reversal. So if a high flyer versus a high flyer, we roll a 4. The other guy would have hit. However, 4 means he reverses, right? And you could then count that as a point of damage against, right? As opposed to just absorbing damage, right? So in wrestling, this would become a reversal where you would actually, if your opponent scores on a 4, at the same time he would score on a 4, his opponent scores on a 4. However, he would reverse that, and he could do 2 points of damage in a wrestling match in one roll of the dice. So you can see how this was a wrestling game. I didn't like the idea of a war of attrition in wrestling. Wrestling seems to be more of an ebb and flow thing. And of course, in a game where you're fighting to the death, durability's fine, right? Because eventually they're going to die. They're going to bleed out. They're going to be cut down. Some guys are going to be easy to kill because they're just not very durable. They're not very defensive, whatever. And some are going to be tough. Titus is a tough son of a gun. You're going to have to work Titus down, right? Because this represents not only their ability to take damage, but their ability to avoid fatigue, their ability to to ignore pain when their shoulders hurt or whatever. So you can see durability is an abstraction. So this would work, of course, for wrestling. It just, for whatever reason, all of a sudden it hit me that this would make a gladiatorial game. But this, you can see how this easily could work for pro wrestling. So for those who know, also in talking to a subscriber, I talked about this is also great for mass war game. Instead of these being individuals, these are armies. This could be your 4th Cavalry with a durability of 2, their damage, their ability to damage in the battlefield, and their ability to avoid being damaged. So this also would make a great, and the reason I say why would this make a great war game, because in one roll of the dice, all of the units on the map engage, right? So chaos. This is a wonderful system for mass combat. So sieging castles. Imagine your armies on the war. Your cavalry and your hoplites, or imagine your tank division. Your bombers. And you literally don't even need maps. You roll the dice and you can see the entire war unfold as your bombers take out infantry units, and your 4th Cavalry, takes out their infantry unit or whatever. So you can imagine what you can do with this little system. I will say again, be aware of getting your durabilities too high, because it slows the game down and it loses its speed, but it also loses that narrative sense that things are happening very quickly, and they're also very but can drag out to create a narrative of the battle, right? Of the arena or of the actual battlefield, if it's a Civil War game or whatever. And the engagement ranges, I would not tweak these too much for, and the defense ranges. You'll notice there are certain numbers, right? And that's it. And then, of course, for the non-traditional creatures, they get more exotic in both their engagement ranges and in their defense. You'll notice their defense actually has the same numbers as humans. So, again, those ranges are important to keep just those numbers. So I wouldn't start messing around with defense with 2 defense numbers or ranges of defense, but you could. I mean, if you want to. But you'll notice their engagement ranges definitely are different windows. For instance, the Christians aren't warriors; they are martyrs, and they, ultimately are not going to engage in many ways. They're going to try to avoid a fighting. They're going to, whatever they might do. But once in a while, you'll roll a 2, and that Christian's going to fight back, or he's going to cause harm to something in the ring or whatever. And then, of course, soldiers, criminals, prisoners of war. All kinds of, and again, you can have soldiers with a higher durability, different weapon groups, so you can customize all of your criminal soldiers, etc. But I keep those at 1 because that allows you to have lots of combatants, right? Again, like I did in my first festival, we had 4 criminals. So it created a very exciting the 1 man versus 4. However, the danger here is I rolled a 10 or something. I rolled a 9, and that means all 4 of those guys would have damaged Maximus. So in one roll of the dice, Maximus would be. But again, you can imagine what 4 grown-ass men with their lives on the line against a trained gladiator would do. They would swarm and mob this guy and try to overwhelm him, and sure enough, they did. So the narrative comes out of what happens right here when I roll the dice. So anyway, long story short, that is another game. I thought this might be the end of my Cato Claudius and his school. However, we live on, and we now have a lion, Pestis Titus. We have our mob, and of course the same 4 have to also fit in my last man. So if we're invited, or if I have my own festival again, or if I just choose to host another event, right? So again, Pestis Titus gives me, now I can literally host another event. Say I want to have a mob event because that's less turns, 12 turns, and invite, and then create a 4, we could invite Cornelius Justicus back with his 4-man mob, and I can randomly roll up his 4 men, right? So anyway, and if you want an idea of 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 um, of power rating, then you want to count these numbers. Quintus is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8. So my mob has a power rating of 8. My lion has a power rating of 3, right? Which means my last man has a power rating of 8. And you want to get a clue when you're facing, and these guys, you're going to find these guys are all pretty badass, right? Because they're inviting you to one-man events or whatever. But you can see the average Titus is a 5, so that gives him a power rating of 5. The power rating here of 10 for this is Augustus Albus. He has 31 coins in his bank. Again, you don't have to use these at all. It's just to give you a sense of how rich and how powerful Augustus is, to purchase or to bet money, right? To bet coins like I've done here. So I gave everybody, and that gives you a sense of their power in the world of gladiatorial management, right? So Augustus Albus of Rome would be the man. 31 bank, 24 bank, 18 bank. We've got Nemes, 12 bank, and then we've got Verona, Italy, 15 bank, and then we got Elgin, Tunisia, 8 bank. So Albus Claudius, who would be probably a cousin of mine, is broke like I am. So in Tunisia, I have a cousin, Albus Claudius, and he's hanging in there, but he's got a pretty good, again, he's got 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. He's got 10, and here he's got 11. So pretty good power, and he's got Justicus, which is very good, 5, 6, 7, and 5. So he may only have 8 coins left in his bank, but this is a formidable group here, right? So again, you could also have festivals where 3 or 4 of these groups show up. So you could have a giant festival where Augustus Albus in Rome for the emperor invites all of these schools to these events, right? So you can imagine, you could literally have a mob event featuring 4 or 5 schools, which is a lot of combatants. So you're really going to want to be careful as you do the math, right? Because you're going to have to decide who, if you roll 2, all of the people in the arena that could be damaged on a 2. So I try to keep it kind of manageable, right? So if you had 4 schools, so let's say you wanted to have all the schools show up, including your not school, but your gladiatorial troop, and you wanted to have a mob event including all of them, right? Or let's say again a mob event including 3 of the schools, then you would maybe get your mob down to 2 men each. So 2 of my men would be in the mob, 2 of Augustus's would be in the mob, 2 of Julius's would be in the mob, and 2 of Emil's would be in the mob. That would be 8 combatants. So I try to keep it down to 8 because it's going to grow. If there's a no action events, then you're going to see creatures unleashed in the arena too, which is going to start adding to the chaos. So anyway, I thought I would explain this because, again, you can see how this had started as my pro wrestling engine. And I think it would work brilliantly still as a pro wrestling engine. I think my biggest beef was for the wrestling matches to be based on durability. And I wasn't sure how to handle the pin, right? And so many wrestling matches don't end with a pin. They end with a time up, or guys quit, or they leave the ring, or they don't always end in a pin. And so that's where I have my biggest problem with wrestling. What's the time limit? Well, that's fine, because the time limits can just be, you don't really know, right, how long these matches are going to go. They just happen to end, There's a lot of informality to pro wrestling for the fan, but it may be very formal behind the scenes as to how long the match is going to go, who's going to win, what's going to transpire. I don't know, because I don't follow pro wrestling as far as, how real it is versus how fake it is, or whatever, how predetermined it is. I don't, it's an entertainment. My concern with the pro wrestling, again, was I wouldn't want every single match to just end in a pin. So anyway, long story short, I'm not as comfortable with how to end pro wrestling matches as maybe those out there who are fans of pro wrestling, right? All right. Anyway, thanks for watching, everybody. Have a wonderful week upcoming. Bye-bye.